Hey, what's up, guys? Today's episode is all about non-spiritual spirituality. What is that, you may ask? Well, if you're like me and you are not into conservative religion, and you're also not into the weird, flaky, new age stuff, people's heads are too high up in the clouds, not grounded enough. If you don't like either of those things, but you still want some sort of spirituality, some sort of internal growth, then you're going to want to stay tuned for this episode. So, this is non spiritual spirituality. I want to talk about a spirituality you've never heard of, but it's one I feel like anyone would truly like. I call it non spiritual spirituality because there's plenty of things out there in the spiritual world that I fucking despise. And it sucks because they've given spirituality a bad name. And yet, spirituality has so many positive benefits for every kind of person. I mean, who doesn't want to be happy, calm, sincerely content all of the time? Who doesn't want to be healed from the wounds and pains that our friends and family and enemies have given us? Who doesn't want to be naturally and easily free from selfishness and fear? Who doesn't want to experience authentic self transformation that isn't based on fake, religious, pretending behavior modification? These are things that you can have, and it takes some effort, but not as much as you think, or not in the way that you think. But there's so much out there in the spiritual world that is just gross tasting and icky, yucky, blah. That when people hear spiritual, they automatically turn their antennas off and they just don't want to listen. So if you're turned off like me, we have that in common. So maybe you'll hear me out and listen to what I have to say. Here's the shit that turns me off in the spiritual world. And before I get started, though, I beg of you, please do not get offended. I am not talking about you or your precious leaders and movements. Don't take any of this stuff personal. Just relax and see if any of this stuff speaks to you. All right? Let's do this. As Billy Eichner would say, and away we go. Okay, so let's start with the right, because I fucking hate church. God bless them, but I just can't take it for the most part. I mean, I can be in any environment and just be zenned out and be chill. But I mean, if I had a preference, I'm sick of church. And you know what? I have the right to say that because I grew up going to church. We were in church on Sunday and Monday for prayer and Wednesday for midweek service, and it's probably every day we were at church. It was just church was just that was just the norm in my house, and my parents were very involved in the church and in various ways, in leadership ways or other volunteer ways. And I mean, for me, the positive about that is that I got to see from the inside, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I got to tell you, there's a lot of ugly. And again, I'm not judging anybody, so don't take anything personal. But I feel like anybody who's gotten pretty involved in church, even just as a guest or a lay person member, I mean, we've all seen the bullshit that we probably wouldn't think you would see there. And everyone wants to say, well, nobody's perfect. And I get all that, and I agree with that. But I mean, gosh, it's just crazy how the overwhelming church culture is one of adversity. People are always fighting and disagreement. You got people backstabbing each other because they want to be the next pastor or some bullshit. I mean, it's just crazy how much just division there are in churches. I mean, look at the fact there's like a million fucking churches. It's very interesting. But there's a lot more issues that I personally have with conservative religion. We'll say kind of like on the right. You know what I mean? Like number one, so many rules. It's all about rules. And if you keep the rules, you're accepted, you're praised, you're put on a pedestal, you get a gold star, you get a gold medal. Good job. I guess God likes you. He's happy with you because you followed the rules. And if you don't follow the rules, well, I mean, that's not good. Why aren't let's figure out how to get you to follow the rules. It really is that way, and it's just fucking crazy. It's so stupid. We are not meant to live by what I call like you ought to this and you ought to that, and you ought not do this and ought not do that. Of course, there's ethics and there's morality in life, and there's just shit you shouldn't do because it's just gonna hurt you and hurt people. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about the fact that conservative religion really does glorify the goody two shoes. You know what I mean? And I hate that so much. And it really, and the goody two shoes people feel like they deserve to be happier than other people because they sacrificed and they followed the rules. And it really just becomes this lifestyle and behavior of self-sacrifice and earning things, and now you deserve to have it because others don't. I mean, it's kind of like this weird spiritual capitalist thing. um, so there's that part about it. Let's get into number two. What about conservatives are very exclusionary, which is just crazy. You know what I mean? It's like if you're homosexual, or if you don't identify with the gender you were given at birth, or if you take a particular job, maybe you're a sex worker or something, it's like you're automatically shunned. If you're not shunned, they love you, but it's kind of like they love you, but they don't really like you. They're gonna treat you differently. uh, I hate that. So I just think that's so ridiculous, especially if we're speaking about like Christian conservative stuff. I mean, it's just so everyone knows this. I think it's such common knowledge that like Jesus was like the most accepting guy. I mean, he was literally crucified and nailed to some wood because he was hanging out with the sex workers, and he was hanging out with, at the time, the tax collectors who were kind of like the mafia guys. You know what I mean? He was hanging out with all the people that, the religious people, the conservative people, they were not happy about, and that's why he was such a scandalous dude, was because of that, because he was very inclusive. He was not an excluder at all. He didn't see insider and outsider. He saw that we're all, what he would call children of God. But yet conservative religion it's just crazy how they shun people. Again, even if they don't like officially shun them, you're just treated differently. I mean, if you were to put a standard good Christian person, right? If you were to put them, in a room with maybe like a homosexual or a transgender person or something, I mean, they would probably be fake nice or want to be nice, but there's something they would feel weird. They would feel weird, and that in itself tells me of a big problem. Why would you feel weird around anybody? Like, why? What are you scared of? You know what I mean? So there's that part. Conservative religion excluding, right? What other issues do conservative religious people have? Oh my God. I mean, those are some pretty big ones. But yeah, it just feels like there's no freedom. I mean, let's not get, I mean, we talked about rules, but I mean, also kind of like that, but just this idea of, everything being sinful. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of them are just trying to be pure in this life and not listen to, quote unquote secular music, and don't have a beer and don't watch that rated R movie and all of this stuff. And it's like, I mean, if those things don't appeal to you because that's just not for you, that's different. But if you're doing it for some weird religious thing or to please God, I mean, it's just so strange to just not live a normal life, and to live this like closeted, weird, Puritan life. And it just doesn't really, jive with just normal life. It's like so many of these religious people just can't live, and everything is just of the devil, or it's just not of God. And we just do things that are of God. And, instead of enjoying music, we're going to make our own version of music, Christian music, or, they really are this like weird club. Like, I really hate those stickers, those not of this world stickers. Oh man, don't get me started on that. It's just like, your God created this world. What do you mean you're not of this world, right? And, if you mean not of this world to mean that you're not, you know, a selfish asshole, well, that's great. That's cool if that's what you mean. But I mean, unfortunately, I think most of them mean that like we're not normal like everyone else is normal. We're different. We're saved. We're redeemed, brother. And we're not like the outsiders. We're not like the unbelievers. Just again, going back to the exclusionary thing. So, anyways, is there anything else any other issues that I have with conservative religion? Let's see. They want your money, but everyone wants your money, even the left people, right? Money is the love of money, right? If I think of something else, I will let you know, but I'm sure there's stuff. So on the other end of the spectrum, though, you have the like new age, liberal, flaky, woo-woo, bullshit, right? And again, if you identify with the woo-woo, don't get your feelings hurt, right? I'm just making a point here. But yeah, on the other end of the spectrum, you got people that, maybe they are inclusive, great. Maybe they don't follow rules, great. But they're just like they're also not normal. I mean, if the religious people, if they're not normal because, drinking a beer is sinful, well, the liberal people, they're not normal because, this normal life is like it's a hologram and we gotta ascend this natural life and I don't want to do normal stuff. I want to astral project and I want to leave my body and all of this weird shit, right? I mean, they're also not normal in their own way. They're also exclusionary in their own way. They deny just the normal great things of regular life, whether that's roller coasters or painting or making music or listening to music or whatever, bird watching, I don't know, whatever normal things there are out there. The extreme left, which it comes from, Gnosticism, this duality that the normal world is bad and we've got to go to a higher place. I mean, that's also so weird and such a turnoff. You know what I mean? Even right now, I'm watching Heaven's Gate, The Cult of Cults on HBO. It's pretty good. But again, these guys, we've got to leave this earth and go to a higher place. It's just so life denying. It's just so not normal, right? I mean, very strange. I mean, the extreme left spiritual people. I mean, listen, I hate rules more than the next person, but I mean, they will just betray people. They will hurt people's feelings because we're just free, man, or whatever, some bullshit. I mean, I'm not about strict religious rules, but I mean, just don't be a fucking asshole. You know what I mean? Like whether you're a conservative asshole or a liberal asshole, just, don't be one. There's this great translation of Dogen, who is this big Buddhist Zen guy, one of the biggest guys, probably the biggest Zen guy from Japan. And he said in this translation that the whole purpose of Buddhism is just to not be a jerk. What about that, huh? Pretty simple, huh? So, anyways, fill in the blanks. I mean, I think that everyone has tried one or the other. When we hear spirituality, we just think about either, our conservative, strict, grandma, or we think of like our weird, liberal aunt who's, putting faith in weird superstitious stuff like crystals or something, and it's a shame. It's a shame. And so I think the question is there a spirituality outside of those two extremes? And I think when Christianity says that the purpose of everything is love, they're also saying that just don't be an asshole. So we don't got to get into the rules or the weird stuff. Just be nice to people, right? And I tell you that there is, and we'll talk about that. But what is spirituality, anyways? Well, it could be looked at in different ways, but here's my spiel. Spirit or spiritual has to do with the invisible, non tangible elements of our lives. Our mind or psyche, our emotions, our beliefs, our internal universe, everything that's included in that. If you want to get deeper, the truest type of spiritual stuff has to do with a reality that is even beyond all of those experienceable inner elements, elements like thoughts, perceptions, emotions, etc. This is a reality that, when touched, changes your whole world and your whole life. You become nicer, happier, more relaxed, content, less scared, more confident. Life is more enjoyable, even though a lot of shitty stuff happens every day, right? And you can actually walk through so much of the bullshit people freak out about as if you're walking through the park. There's just so much stuff, like meaningless stuff, that people get worked up about. You know what I mean? Like, so and so doesn't like me. Who gives a shit? Like, who cares? There's just so many things, fame and success and popularity and all of these, it's like, anyways, when you're spiritual, and again, when I say spiritual, I'm not talking about those two extremes, but when you are spiritual, non-spiritually spiritual, right? We're talking about non-spiritual spirituality. There are just so many things that used to bother you just don't bother you anymore. You're just you're chilling, right? And the ironic thing about this purely spiritual dimension that I talked about, this spiritual dimension, that when you get in sync with it, when you touch it, when you live from this place, this spiritual dimension is so deeply intertwined and connected with our normal, everyday, regular life. And that's what the woo-woo people don't get. And even the conservative people who want to like leave this life and go to heaven, right? They want to leave the earth and go play harps or whatever, right? These two seemingly opposite things, spirit shit and regular shit, they are not opposed to one another. The ordinary stuff is actually an expression from and of the spiritual transcendent stuff. And that's why I call this non-spiritual spirituality. It's spiritual, but it's not. I mean, is bowling a spiritual practice? What I'm saying is, yes, it is. Spirit doesn't mean I leave behind, you know, normal, regular, you know, things and activities and dynamics of this earth. That's not what spiritual means. True spirituality encompasses both, because both are just two different sides of the same coin. Yeah, there's some distinction when we talk about it. But, if I have a coin and I don't have the head side and I only have the tail side, that coin has no value. It has no worth. I need the head side. I need the tail side for the coin to have value. And you know what? The head side and the tail side are made of the same substance. They're made of the same metal, right? So, the spiritual stuff, the invisible stuff, the mental stuff, the internal stuff, and the tangible stuff, the ordinary stuff, they're just two sides of the same coin. They have value. And it's really when we pick one over the other that's when we get all messed up, right? Spiritual people, whether they're conservative or liberal, they leave behind regular everyday stuff. And that's where they're off balance. But yet people who are not spiritual at all, and they just live ordinary life. That's it. There's no deeper meaning to life. I work, I eat, I shit, I sleep, and then I repeat. I mean, that's not, that's not the that's not what you want either, right? So we have to find this balance. And that's why I call it non-spiritual spirituality, because this seeming paradox, non-spiritual and spirituality in one phrase, that is where the secret sauce is at. That's what we need, you know. Also, too, I mean, the non in non-spiritual spirituality, it refers to the fact that we're non, or we're not, the two extremes that we talked about, earlier. We are spirituality, but we're not those things. And while I'm at it, humans are divine, right? So if you don't know, humans are divine is just a moniker that I have for my, my spiritual, my blog, my podcast. I mentor people if you want spiritual mentoring, right? Non-spiritual spirituality, we're not those things. So at Humans Are Divine, you're not gonna find these like crazy rules you have to follow, or you won't experience growth in your spiritual life, and you're not gonna hear about weird flaky bullshit. It's just regular stuff, man. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just a normal person, and you should be normal. And I think that whenever people hear about spirituality, and like maybe something in them is interested, like, yes, I want to grow spiritually. I have a problem with anxiety. I have a problem with stress, with worry. I have an anger problem. I have an addiction, or an addiction or two, right? I have these issues. I want to be free of these issues. I feel like there's something about spirituality that can help me out. But what happens is, but then these people think, oh, but if I do that, it's going to be really hard. Well, number one, it's not going to be really hard. I mean, yes, like I said earlier, there's like a little bit of effort. I wouldn't even call it effort. There's like a little bit of action, specific things that you'll do, but it's not really that difficult. So scratch that out. Or people think like, oh, if I do the spiritual stuff, I got to like commit to like going to church every twice a week and going to the meeting at the guy's house, the awkward meeting where I have fake friends, the life group or whatever they call it, or you think like, oh, my whole life is going to change. And again, it doesn't have to be that way. At Humans Are Divine, it's not that way. Or you think, oh, I'm going to have to stop. I love whiskey. I'm a whiskey connoisseur, and now I got to stop drinking whiskey. I don't know if I want to do the spiritual stuff. I don't want to give stuff up. You don't have to stop drinking your whiskey. You don't have to make these changes in your life that you don't want to make, because spirituality is all about being free. I know that Jesus is like a double-edged sword. Some people love him, some people hate him. But I think even the ones that hate him, they know they don't hate him. They just hate Christians or whatever, the Christian culture as it is right now. But I mean, they know that Jesus was not like most Christians, which is very funny. I wonder what he thinks about that. But, when Jesus talked about spirituality and the spirit, right? He said, the spirit blows where it wishes, or the wind or the breeze, because in the Greek, the words are the same, right? Pneuma. So the spirit or the wind or the breeze blows where it wishes. You don't know where it's coming from and where it's going. Okay. It's the same. He said, it's the same with those who are born of the Spirit. Or in other words, people who are spiritual are the same way. So let's hear the first part again. The Spirit blows where it wishes. The Spirit does what it wants. The Spirit is free. The Spirit, just like the wind is in space, is not bound, to a specific, course. The Spirit, the wind blows where it wants. And the air is free. There's no tracks in space and in the air where the wind blows, right? So it is with those who are born of the Spirit, or those who are spiritual. So to be spiritual, if we want to follow Jesus and his words, to be spiritual means to be free. It means to be free. So if you don't want to give up your whiskey, you don't have to. You shouldn't have to do things that you in your own self don't decide to do in freedom. Now, if you want to volunteer at church twice a week because it's fun for you and you want to help and there's something in you that gets satisfied by doing that, then by all means, do it, because that's what you want to do, right? But being spiritual means being free. So whenever you find a spirituality that is trying to take away your freedom, make you follow rules, make you follow what they're doing, make you believe things that you're not sure you believe. I forgot about that, right? And that's something that you hear from conservatives and liberals. There's these like weird beliefs, and if you don't believe this, well, then you're not one of us, right? Whether it's a creed or a doctrinal belief, or whether it's some weird new age initiation or some bullshit, right? They're just trying to take away your freedom. Yeah, you don't really believe it, but just pretend you do. Choose to choose to believe or some crap, right? That's not freedom. And that's why people get turned off, because you were created to be free. It's natural for you to enjoy your freedom. So of course, when you hear about spirituality and you think about the conservative stuff and the liberal stuff, of course you don't want to get involved, because you just hear, you just get that vibe like, nah, there's no freedom in that. But non-spiritual spirituality is all about freedom. And I lost my train of thought here. I think I was just talking about humans are divine in our culture, and I'll keep doing that. But yeah, man, like, you are totally free. You don't have to believe something because somebody told you or I told you. You figure things out for yourself, and that's one thing that I really appreciated. That I appreciate about Buddha is, Buddha would tell people, don't believe it just because I said it. Don't have faith in me. If what I'm saying is true, you'll go take what I'm saying and try it out. Think about it. Buddha was great at giving practical instructions. Go try it out. See if you like it or not. If it's true for you, that's what's important. And that's one thing that I do love about Buddhism is that, listen, man, this is about you figuring things out in your own freedom. Don't be a follower. Don't be a faker. Don't be a poser. Just follow in the crowd. That's so stupid. You got to be free. So non-spiritual spirituality is about freedom. And you know what? Speaking from experience, speaking from reading so many books of people who have experienced freedom as well through, things like meditation and and stuff like that. I want to let you know right now, whoever you are, I want to let you know that you can live your normal life as it is, whatever your life consists of. Things don't have to change dramatically, or half dramatically. I don't know. But you can just get rid of the bullshit. If you want to be free of, like I said, there's anxiety, there's stress, there's fear, there's worry, there's depression, there's addictions, there's loneliness, there's selfishness. Who wants to be selfish? I don't think anybody wants to be selfish, but we're just so used to it, and we've tried to be a good person and not be an asshole to those that we love, and we just get caught up in our in our habits, our negative habits, and we've accepted that this is who we are. And you know what? It doesn't have to be that way. I'm not perfect. Uh, we're all growing. I'm still growing. I acknowledge that, but man, I've come a long way. I've come a long way, and it wasn't hard. I didn't have to follow some stupid rules or please some stupid spiritual leader. I've been myself, and I've just seen so much change in my life, positive change. Hey, I still slip up, things still happen, right? This is not a perfect thing, because we are not perfect people. But yeah, man, a lot has happened. So that's what I got to say. Non-spiritual spirituality, you can be normal and you can enjoy your life and enjoy all the great regular things, but you can be free of all of the bad crap. Hey, if non-spiritual spirituality interests you, subscribe to our podcast, get on our blog, humansardivine.blog. You can contact me there. Listen, if you have questions, or for me, life is all about dialogue, conversation, face-to-face connection, even if it's virtually face-to-face or ear to mouth or whatever. There's a contact page on the blog. I think there's also on anchor.fm/humansardivine. I think you can like record a question and I can include that in the podcast. Of course, you can be anonymous. Feel free to do that, to contact me. I also offer spiritual mentoring. It's pay what you can. So, that's up to you. And if you know what, if paying what you can is like very low, if you want to give me $5 for a session, that's cool, man. I mean, I'm not offering this service really for the money. I mean, yeah, I gotta buy my Cheerios and cheeseburgers to survive, right? But that's not really why I'm doing it. I really just want to help people. And I really feel like there is just so much of those two extremes that we talked about, and I'm not into that. But I am into spirituality. I'm into non-spiritual spirituality. So if that interests you, again, you can just contact me, or if you want me to be your spiritual mentor, that's great. Again, it's not like you're signing up and giving your life away. We can take it one session at a time. So if you want to sign up for that, that's also at humansardevine.blog. And then finally, if this message or if this line of thinking is something that you agree with, you like it, you love it, you want this message to keep going, again, we're not doing this for the money, but I mean, you need money to do stuff, right? So if you want to donate, you can donate to paypal.me / humans are divine. That's paypal.me / humans are divine. That's what I have for you today. Stay tuned for more content. And I just wish you guys the best. And go ahead and meditate today. Just take a moment and just put your phone on do not disturb, or whatever you Android people do. I don't know what you guys do, but just just chill out, man. Just you're always doing stuff. Why don't you just try not doing stuff? You're always thinking and daydreaming. How about you take a break from that? How about you just relax and just pay attention to where you're at? You might find some peace that way. But anyways, I will see you guys next time. And yeah, thanks.